The handstand is the foundational shape of all gymnastics. Gymnasts do handstands and move through handstands in every gymnastics event. This tutorial is designed to help a novice instructor get started teaching handstands to young gymnastics students. Instructors with prior gymnastics experience will be familiar with many of the terms and concepts, and those who are new to the sport will learn not just the how, but the why of handstand technique. Hopefully, experienced coaches will find the tutorial useful as well. You may not be aware, but there are different types of handstands. Some, like a Spider-Man handstand, are strength drills and not a skill a gymnast performs. The focus of this tutorial is the kick-up handstand, which is the foundation for other handstands that gymnasts learn. How old do kids need to be? 1.5 to 2-year-olds can begin doing some strength drills, like Spider-Man handstands, and most 3-year-olds can begin learning the steps required to kick up. But most kids cannot really kick up into a handstand until they are about 5 or 6. One fun thing about learning a handstand is that it doesn't require any special equipment. These instructions are geared toward teaching in a gym setting, but they can be applied to any setting, as long as you are implementing the proper safety precautions. Ensure that the student is dressed appropriately. Leotards or gym shorts and a t-shirt are ideal but not necessary. Just be careful they aren't wearing something loose that can fall and cover their face, or that you could get your hands caught in. Be aware that a handstand is potentially dangerous and be prepared to spot your students to prevent falls. To avoid injury and hasten the learning curve, always begin the lesson with a brief warm-up. Cardio, such as jumping jacks, mountain climbers, or running, gets the heart pumping and increases circulation, and stretching loosens and lengthens the muscles. Be sure to stretch the shoulders and wrists as well. The wrists take a lot of pressure in a handstand, so really take the time to stretch them thoroughly. A handstand starts and finishes in a lunge, so be prepared to take the time to shape the lunge correctly. The most common problem with lunges are foot placement, knee bend, hip twist, bent arms, and arched back. The front foot should turn out slightly. Watch for a turned-in front foot, which is bad for the knee, causes the hips to twist, and prevents reaching out straight in front. The back foot should be only very slightly turned out. Watch for the tendency to place this foot perpendicular to the line of movement. Kids tend to do this to balance in their lunge, but it forces the hip to twist backward, turning the body sideways instead of facing front. Watch for the tendency to cross the back foot behind the front foot, which is unstable and causes the hip to twist backward. A good tool for correcting and preventing foot placement problems is to have the child lunge on a line. A line gives visual feedback, allowing kids to see for themselves what you are talking about. Students have difficulty remembering to bend their front leg while keeping the back leg straight. They need a bent leg in front so they have something to kick off the ground with. The front leg acts like a spring. Pushing from bent to straight is what launches the body toward inversion. The straight leg has no spring. Hip twist comes from improper foot placement. Students tend to place the back foot at an angle that pushes the hip back, and usually the shoulders twist with them. A good way to correct this is to have the student step into a lunge from first position, so their shoulders and hips stay square and front facing. Check for straight arms in the lunge. Arms that are not straight and tight are not ready to bear the entire body weight, increasing the risk of collapse. Students tend to stand up too tall in their lunge position, which causes the back to arch, increasing the chance that the handstand will be arched instead of straight. Instead, lean forward slightly, creating a straight line from the back foot to the hands. It's easier to hit a straight handstand if you begin in a straight line. The next step is the lever. This is where that straight line created in the lunge tips forward on its axis. This movement is known by many names. Lever, teeter-totter, and water pump all describe movements made by a lever on a fulcrum. Think of the hips as the fulcrum or axis. Tick-tock is more like a pendulum, which is useful for students who cannot yet lift their back leg off the ground in a lever without falling over. This is a very difficult movement for young students, and it's especially hard to do keeping an open shoulder position, where the arms stay over the ears. Inevitably, the arms fall away from the ears, creating a closed shoulder or broken lunge position. Make a game of keeping the ears covered. A mental image, such as their ears turning into donkey ears, encourages young students to work hard, but keeps it playful. Going down in the lever is the easy part. Getting up is very difficult. Students fall forward and don't have the strength or balance to get back up into their lunge. This is a very important part of the handstand process because the better they are at this, the better they will be at coming back down into a lunge position after the handstand and thereby finishing the handstand correctly. Getting a solid teeter-totter takes a long time, and it's something that will need to be revisited frequently. So don't expect a student to be able to do this before progressing into kicking up into a handstand. Make this difficult skill as fun as you can by playing as many silly games as you can think of. The next step is to add the hop. Once students get the basic idea of lunge and lever, they are ready to hop. It's the standing leg that hops, while trying to keep the back leg in the air, high and straight with a pointed toe. During the hopping phase is the best time to make students aware of their hand position. Have them create a triangle shape with their hands as they hit the floor. Give them a felt triangle cutout to practice framing. Pay close attention to turned out hands and correct this bad habit early. A handstand is the beginning of tumbling skills. Tumbling with outturned hands can easily lead to broken arms. Once a student can lunge, lever, and hop, they can try to kick. This is the movement that makes all the steps finally come to a handstand. The standing leg, which is the lunging leg that has been acting as a spring, is going to quickly straighten and reach for the back leg, which is now straight and pointed to the sky. The springing foot will briefly touch the kicking foot, as in a quick kiss, and then return to its position on the floor as the body returns to a lunge position. A couple of things to watch for in this step is the tendency for the kicking leg to lower to kiss the springing leg instead of them meeting at the top of the handstand. The other thing is the tendency to switch feet in mid-air and land in the opposite lunge as the starting lunge. Finally, the handstand needs to finish in a lunge. The starting and finishing position should look the same. can help to give the students dots or some other prop to mark where their feet should go. Finishing in the lunge is difficult because this is where any problems encountered in the process of getting here are going to show up. Challenges in the finish are not falling, not letting the arms drop, not switching feet, and not separating the feet after they snap together. A good finish is landing in the starting lunge with the arms still kept in position by the ears in that open shoulder position. Especially for younger students, one of the difficulties in learning a kick-up handstand can be determining foot dominance. Sometimes students are struggling more than necessary learning the initial steps because they are not lunging with their dominant foot forward. Take the time to determine foot dominance. It can make the rest of the process much easier. If it seems like this tutorial is heavily focused on lunging technique and light on the kicking up part, that's because it is. The beginning and end of a skill are the most important parts. With a good start and finish, the middle will come, but a sloppy start and finish will never yield a well-executed skill. In fact, teaching the proper starting and finishing position of every skill in gymnastics is key to learning proper technique and form. A couple of things to keep in mind as you are teaching handstands is that there is a lot of pressure being placed on the wrists, and especially for growing children, too much of this position can cause pain and even damage. Only hold a handstand for a short period of time. Put most of the effort into the process of kicking up and coming down. 10 kick-ups are more beneficial than a 10-second hold. Thank you for watching. Be safe and have fun.